Let's get it. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and a Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. Here we go. Pashito, you know what time it is right now. It's game time, baby. We got three coaches on Life's Essential Ingredients, and I think our guest didn't even know we were in that world. Dr. Raidbard, Mike and I both played at the University of San Francisco. Mike is the head coach, boys basketball coach at Mary Star of the Sea in San Pedro, and I just came out of retirement to coach again at the powerhouse Winters High School girls basketball. And so it's going to be on this season. And our guest today has basketball in his blood, and we are so excited to have him on the show. So welcome, Dr. Raidbard.
Glad to be here, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So first, where you can find him, and excuse me if I call him Coach or Dr. Raidbard. I'm going to try and stick with Dr. Raidbard, but sometimes when you're in the presence of coaches, everybody's coach. And my wife always gets so upset at me because I was talking to Coach today. She's like, "Hey, Coach who?" Because there's like a million coaches. So I don't know if you ever get in trouble with your wife or if you're married, Dr. Raidbard, but my wife gives me the business all the time with that one. But here we go. So where we can find him, and it's this is his email, and it's raidbardleadership@gmail.com, and I'm going to spell that out: RAIDBARD leadership@gmail.com. And about Dr. Raidbard. Raidbard Sports Leadership Consulting was founded to help athletic coaches be more effective and successful leaders. Drawing on over 15 years of experience as a Division I men's college basketball coach and senior level athletics administrator, Dr. Raidbard identified a significant gap between perceived and actual leadership styles and behaviors of coaches at all levels. Dr. Raidbard was inspired to create change and has recently authored his first book, Lead Like a Pro. Dr. Raidbard received his bachelor's degree from Indiana University, his master's from Western New Mexico University, and his doctor of education from Chicago State University. Dr. Raidbard, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate the introduction. And you know, I always say once a coach, always a coach. So, you know, I get coached way more than I get doctor, and I love it. So I appreciate it, and I'll gladly take coach the entire time.
All right. So we start our show off with the thought of the day. And it's an interesting one. So you're going to have to think a little bit on this one. And this is a thought that after researching you, and for the listeners, normally I have a few days to where I get to research a guest. And this one, Dr. Raidbard and I, our coach, we're kind of emailing back and forth. I was out a little bit. And long story short, we're kind of just like, hey, we're getting the show in. And so here's the quote that I picked. And it's from a past guest who was an incredible guest, Aditi Surana. And here's the quote: "Your experience is determined not by the result, but the motive behind your actions." And I'm going to repeat that again, give you a quick second to think about it, because I think it's a deep quote. Your experience is determined not by the result, but the motive behind your actions. And again, that's from Aditi Surana. Thank you, Aditi. So, Coach, what are your thoughts on that, and why would I pick that for this show?
So, you know, the first thing that comes to me was, you know, early in my coaching career, like a lot of young coaches, I was really focused on myself. You know, I wanted to win. I wanted to move up the ladder. I wanted to advance in coaching. It was all about me. And it wasn't until I got going in my coaching career and had some adversity, had some failures, both, you know, on the court and in my leadership off the court, where I realized I need to look inward at, why am I actually doing this? Why do I want to be a college basketball coach specifically, right? It's got to be something more than just winning and losing, or this idea of campus for my first job. And when I looked inward at really why I wanted to do it, it was about a couple of things. It was about wanting to be part of a team. It was about wanting to influence the lives and direction of young people, specifically college age, who are about to embark on life's journey as soon as they leave college. And it was about also wanting to have a positive impact on their learning, growth, and development. And when I really looked inward at those things, or the process of why I wanted to be a coach, it made, everything so much more meaningful. And it wasn't all about winning and losing and hanging on every shot that rims in or out, but it was about something much more deeper, connecting with my athletes and having a positive influence on them. And that had a great impact on me, and ultimately my definition of what success was as a coach.
I love that. So I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but would you say that was a slam dunk by me of getting that quote to hit home with you?
Yeah, that was definitely a slam dunk. As you were saying it, like, it was just going right into my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what this quote means to me. So, you hit it right on the head. That was perfect.
Yeah. And I think, thank you for that. And that's from our good friend Aditi. But, Mike and I are both coaches and played. And yeah, I mean, that's why I'm really excited to have you get into your book eventually here, because I think when we can really get to the deep meaning behind the work that we're doing, whether it's as a coach, as a nurse, as an appraiser, as an athletics administrator, as a husband, as a father, when you understand that the motive behind your actions, it can powerfully change how you look at those experiences. And so, yeah, I'm sure you're going to get in to your book. But before we do, I know you're a North Side Chicago guy. So I got to ask, I spent a little time in the Midwest down south of Chicago in Bourbonnais, Illinois, which I'm sure you never heard of because you're from up north. But hey, are you a Lou's guy, a Gino's guy, a Giordano guy? And tell me that you like pizza, otherwise the show might be over.
So yeah, no complaints with pizza here. Definitely grew up eating all manner of Chicago pizza, but being a North Side guy, Cubs fan, it's these all the way. Losing the go in hand. So. And I am familiar with Bourbonnais because that's where Bears training camp was for so many years. So I do know where you were down there, right near where the Bears get it going every year. So, but yeah, Lou Malnati's and the Cubs all the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Pasho. This is going to be one heck of a show. And yeah, so when I was out there, so I was coaching at Olivet Nazarene University, where the Bears training camp is. I was never out there during that time to see their camp, but they would take care of the students. They would leave all their TVs, all their Tempur-Pedic pillows and mattresses, and they took care of the students. Very, very cool for them to be out there. I think they've been out there for a long time. And definitely my favorite is Lou's for sure. Pashito, we got to get out to Chicago, man, and get you some Malnati's pizza. All right. Hey, so I want to get into your life, since I don't know much about you. And this show, it's called Life's Essential Ingredients, and so give me just a few ingredients of your life as far as family, goes, growing up, brothers and sisters, or now married, or kids, or single. I don't know anything about you. What's cracking in your life?
Yeah. So, grew up, great mom and dad. I got younger brother and sister, they're twins. Thought one person was coming home. All of a sudden there was two. So that threw my 3-year-old life into a little bit of a crazy state, but get along real well with the family. I think kind of just reflecting on life's essential ingredients, one of the big ingredients in my life from my dad, who, we've always been extremely close. And, one of the things I learned from him that's become essential to me now, I'm a father of two, I have a 2 and a 4-year-old, is just the importance of being present. My dad really went out of his way to be at my games and support me, and just be there, just as a fan, rooting me on. And that was so important, and something that I strive for, because it told me that there was at least always one person in my corner, no matter what was happening. Even when I took my first coaching job at Western Mexico University, when they looked at the analytics of who was listening to the broadcasts over the internet, there was always one in Chicago, Illinois, and it was my dad. So I always knew, and I think there's just something so great about that, and also comforting, especially when you're taking risks and you're doing different things. And that's a big ingredient for my life now, is just trying to provide that for my girls, and making sure, and for my wife, that they always know I'm there, even if I'm not physically there. That presence of support is always there.
I love it. Well, give Dad a quick shout out and give him some love, because he's going to listen to this. So just take it home, man. Dunk that sucker.
Yeah, love you, Dad. And he is going to listen to this. Dad tries to listen to everything and support in any way he can still today. When I was coaching, he was listening to all the games, and always the number one fan. And I think that's so important. And I always hope that for everybody, that you experience that in life, that you have somebody who's a number one fan for you.
I love that. I love that. And what a great way to start the show. And Dad, you did an amazing job raising an incredible son who's doing a lot to make this world a little bit better, and chasing his dream of starting his own business, and then writing a book. And let's just get into it. So what was the process like? I know this was part of your doctorate work and doing your research. So take the listeners through kind of, did you always wanted to write a book before you got your doctorate, or you were getting your doctorate and then it's like, wait a second, I'm kind of stumbling on something here that I need to really share and take it to the next level?
I'll take it back just a little bit. Outside of wanting to be a college basketball coach as my dream, everything else that has happened to me in life has just come up as I've gone, as part of life's journey. I knew I wanted to be a college basketball coach. That was my dream. Once I got into college coaching, everything there has just been a product kind of my environment and decisions that I've made. So, years was I decided to go back to school and pursue my doctorate. And, I'm always looking at, what are the signs for things? What is kind of my life, the people around me, the universe, what is everything telling me to do? And, I happened to be at Chicago State University at the time, which is a school on the far south side of Chicago. It's a hidden gem there. Chicago State originally was a teacher's college. So they were one of a few schools in the area that I could realistically go to that had a doctorate program in educational leadership at the time. So, I just had been thinking about wanting to go back to school, and got inspired. And so while I was coaching, I decided I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to pursue a doctorate. I don't know where that's going to take me, but if nothing else, I think it'll help me in coaching, be a better leader for my team. So I went back to school, and it was just a great experience. My professors were great. The program was great. They did a really great job of helping me see things through my unique lens of leadership as a coach, and, which is very different. A lot of people in my program were teachers, but just had a really great experience. And I started doing my research in leadership practice for coaches. And I originally set out to see what's the best leadership style and behaviors for coaches to practice. And then I wanted to go tell coaches that to help them be better leaders. And as I was going with my research, I realized that, there are leadership styles that are better for coaches. There's no one perfect leadership style that coaches can practice that'll make them successful. But what I did realize in the research was there was a gap, and coaches were kind of thinking they were practicing a certain leadership style, and something was getting lost between learning about it and then practicing it. There was a gap there between their actual and perceived. And once I realized this, I've always been somebody, and I learned early on in my career is, especially in sports, never bring your head coach problems that you don't have solutions for. And so I just thought, well, I just identified a problem. What are some solutions? And writing the book felt like a possible solution. Give coaches a resource to help them bridge this gap and, be the leaders that they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of took away my question right now. My question as a coach was going to be, what's the best leadership style? So now I can't get the definite answer.
Yeah, and what were the gaps that you were identifying too? Maybe discuss a couple of those.
Yeah, so what I did was I did research on Division 1, 2, and 3 men's basketball head coaches. So, these are all guys, this is their full-time job. This is everything they do professionally is they coach basketball, right? And their careers, their longevity, their success, is to a large part determined by their abilities as a leader. So as I was doing research, I was asking up front all these coaches, what leadership style do you think you practice? Are you a transformational leader? Are you a servant leader? Are you a combination of leadership styles? And then I asked them a whole bunch of leadership questions. And then at the end, I then took their answers to those questions and I figured out the leadership style they actually practiced. And for a majority of coaches, there was the gap between, well, I thought I was a transformational leader. And actually, I practiced some transformational leadership, but I also practiced transactional leadership and servant leadership. And they didn't realize that. And it wasn't intentional, right? It was them doing what they thought was right. It was them, going based off of their experiences, but there was a gap there. And the most successful coaches had the smallest gap. So they were practicing the leadership style as intentionally as they possibly could. And there was a strong correlation there with success. And I said, I need to do something to help all coaches shrink this gap down so that they all have a chance to be the best leaders that they can, to be as successful as possible.
I love that. So how do you, in your book, help them shrink that down? And I imagine it'd be one of the challenges, especially now with coaching. The job, just like any other profession, has gotten to be so much more difficult. And I think you have to coach each player and lead them fairly, but in a way that's gonna resonate with them. And so back to you identifying the gaps, and then the successful coaches not having much of a gap. How do you take a coach that had a significant gap, that thought that they were a transformational coach, but really they were transactional? What would be your insight, or what would the readers get out of reading your book to help them fill that gap?
Yes. So part one is acquiring foundational leadership knowledge. So I really try in the first part of the book to really lay out, these are just some really good leadership styles for you. Some, if might be better if you're a youth coach, some if you're a professional coach, but I'm giving you all this information. This is transformational leadership. And it's not like, I try to write it in a way that, I would want to read it. So I don't want to read a textbook. I want to read something that's a combination of kind of, helpful information that I can kind of dog ear pages and highlight things, but also has things that are relatable to me as a coach. So I try to give examples of every leadership style, both successes and failures from my career. So coaches can see, okay, I'm telling you what transformational leadership is, and now I'm going to show you what it was or what it is. So the first is talking coaches through these different leadership styles so they can acquire foundational leadership knowledge. Once coaches have foundational leadership knowledge, which is what, I got in my, background in educational leadership, was, once you have that knowledge, now we need to make intentional leadership choices. So now you got to look inward and say, what personal beliefs and values do I have about coaching and being a leader? And then we got to line those up with the right leadership style for you. So, for example, like for me, being really positive was important to me as a coach. Building really strong relationships off the court with my players was really important. So if I'm looking inward and saying, these are the most important things to me, now I can align those with transformational leadership and realize that that's a good leadership style to support what I want to be as a coach.
I love that. How big, I'm going to change it up a little bit on you, still getting into leadership, but a tricky word, I think, to define, and that's culture. How big is it for a leader, a head coach, to be able to define the culture of their team, of their program? And is there any insight in your book on culture work?
Yeah, it's hugely important. Culture sets the foundation for everything that you do, because that's the lens that you're going to make decisions through. That's the lens you're going to work through with your players. So, what I kind of talk about in the book is, the culture should be a reflection of what is important to you as a leader. So the things that are most important to you, whether that's relationships, trust, respect, loyalty, hard work, teamwork, those are the foundations of your culture. And the leadership decisions you make need to be in support of those things in order to build it up. Because that's what raises the culture up, is the leader embracing it and the leader kind of building those pillars of the culture based on their actions. So if relationships are really important and building that trust with my players is an extremely important part of the culture, now I have to do things as a leader to support that. I need to have my door open all the time. I need to be at practice early. I need to be willing to stay at practice late. I need to, text my players, see how they're doing. I need to, be accessible to them. I need my actions to build up that culture so that we have developed that relationship and that trust and respect. And I need to do that with all of the pillars of what's important to me for the team culture.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And it's crazy how I use the thought of the day for every practice. My last job was a nursing professor. I would start out my classes with this thought of the day. But after what you just shared, I want to just show you how this crazy this works. Your experience is determined not by the result, but the motive behind your actions. That thought of the day always keeps coming up for me all the time. It's just what you were talking about, of helping coaches develop this culture that the players are going to witness by the actions that the coach is taking. I want to fast forward for you. I know you told me you have two beautiful girls. They're 2 and 4. Let's give them each 10 years now, so they're 12 and 14. And what leadership characteristics would you like to see? They're playing youth soccer out in Connecticut. What leadership characteristics would you like to see in the youth coaches that you think would help athletes develop to their true and full potential?
Yeah, I think, and this kind of goes back to something you were saying about coaching each player based on their individual needs, is I would really like to see a coach who cared about them as individuals, who took the time to build a relationship with them, to understand who they were and what their needs are, while also holding them to the same standard and level of accountability as everybody else. So understanding that they're unique and have different needs, but making sure that there's that level of accountability, so that they're understanding that maybe I need something different than somebody else, but I'm not better than them. I don't deserve any special treatment, and we're all a part of the team and equally important. That's to me is so important for leadership. Building a team, building an organization is just making sure you understand everybody's individuality, but that doesn't manifest itself in people thinking that they're better than anybody else or more important to the team than anybody else. And then the other thing is, just making sure that, they're having a really great experience. At any level of sport, the experience of the athlete is what ties them to the sport, keeps them coming back, develops that, not only that relationship, but that trust that you have to have as a coach in order to not only build a strong culture, but build a culture that people want to be a part of and people want to stay in. And, I think that's so important, is that understanding that, everybody's different, everybody has different needs, but as a coach, making sure that everybody's having a really great experience. And that's informed to an extent by winning and losing. I'm not going to, ever say that it's not, but there's so many things coaches can do to make sure that athletes have a great experience. I think part of that is relationship building. Part of that is that individualized consideration. Part of that is just being positive, encouraging, enthusiastic. I think there's so many things they could do, but I would want the coach to really be invested in making sure that their experience was really good.
Would you also consider that the same ingredients that for a college coach as the same as a youth coach, the whole experience?
Absolutely. I think all of these things, they look a little different. We call them things, names that are a little different. I know with youth coaches, a big goal is we want everybody to have fun. When my 4-year-old goes to soccer, the goal is everybody has fun. That's tremendous. That's exactly what I want to hear as a parent. When I had my guys at the college level, I wanted them to have a great student athlete experience. Now, it's a little different than having fun, but it's kind of that same vein of, I want them to enjoy their being here. I want them to enjoy being part of the team. I want them to make sure they're valued, that I care about them, that I'm invested in their success, and that I'm going to support them. And, ultimately, when they move on, I still am going to care about them. I'm still going to care what happens to them. I'm still going to be here for them. And so I think no matter what level you're at, it's still a version of the same thing, which is, you're a coach, you care about your kids or your athletes, and you're invested in them as people, and you want them to have the best possible experience or the most fun as being a part of the team.
I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Let's just stick with your daughters. So your daughters, getting ready to enter, your oldest getting ready to enter high school, playing freshman soccer. And the coach, you've just been a fly on the wall at the games, and the coach has just been all about winning, and none of the stuff that you've been talking about. And then he realizes who you are, and he comes to you and says, "Hey, Dr. Raidbard, I would love some help in developing my belief/value system." Is there steps or what for a new coach that potentially could be listening that thinks they're going to win the championship and might have their target on their eye on the wrong target? How do you help them develop their belief or value system?
So the first question I would ask is, why are you doing this? There are a lot of other professions outside of coaching that you could pursue individual success and glory in. So why did you choose to be a coach? That's the first question I would ask. And if it's because you love sports, because you were an athlete, let's build off of that. What about sports and being an athlete and being part of a team did you love? What drew you to it? What made you want to come back? One of those reasons is, growing up, not only my dad's support, but I also had really great youth coaches that had a real strong impact on me and me wanting to continue playing sports, having a positive experience. So just taking it back step by step, why are you doing this? Why did you get down this path? And then ultimately trying to help them get to that point that I got to as a coach and saying, of course I wanted to win. Every time my team took the court, I wanted to win. But, I'm ultimately here for something bigger. Once I realized I was here for something bigger, that made the job so much more fulfilling than just pursuing winning, and just trying to, talk through those steps and just talk through, again, why are we at this point? And I get it. I'm not ever going to say that, because I've been there and I've lived it, where you're all about the wins and losses. And so I'm never going to say to a coach or chastise a coach for that, especially if they're trying to improve, they're trying to, deepen their understanding of coaching and leadership. I'm always going to support them and talk through it. But those are kind of some of the steps. And I would encourage coaches listening, and really anybody who's a leader, why are you doing it? How did you get to this point? Who influenced you to get to this point? Or what experiences influenced you to this point, and why? And then really looking at that as a way to kind of understand and see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And that's what you're trying to do, is help people see that bigger picture. And I was on your website, and I see you're in every library in Connecticut, it looks like. I love that. Yeah, I was getting so hyped up. I wish I was closer to you to go listen to you. Are you reading your book to people there? Are you selling it? How does that work? And have you done that yet? I know the dates are coming up, but I'm hoping you have a couple under your belt where you can walk us through what that's like.
Yeah. So, something kind of about me that I would also say is kind of an essential ingredient to my life is, I've always been somebody who was willing to take risks and just try things. I'll throw a lot of things against the wall to try to figure out what sticks. I don't care how much rejection I get, as long as I get to that one yes. I mean, that's how I got into coaching. It's how I've made my way through to where I am now. So just honestly trying to think of creative ways to just promote the book, get it out there. And to me, it was about, how do I reach people in an intimate way where I could really provide them with something useful that relates to the book? So, I started thinking like, libraries are an integral part of communities. Most people have a library card. Most people get the emails for library events, right? So just thinking to myself, how could I get, I could email college coaches and pro coaches, but how do I talk to those youth sport coaches who, this book could do wonders to kind of help them get through, some of those first couple experiences as a coach, right? How do I reach them? And so that was one way I thought, and I've done several events, and they're unbelievable. I've met so many fantastic and awesome people. We've had great conversations, and basically, the first half an hour, I do kind of a presentation that's inspired by the book, just kind of on leadership. And the next, 20 minutes, half an hour, we just open it up and have a discussion and just talk about leadership. And it's just been awesome. Just the questions and people sharing their experiences. It's just been super fun. And I'm hoping to go across the country. I'm all over the Northeast right now. I'm moving down the coast of Maryland and hoping in the spring to start moving west. My goal is to get at least one in every state, even if they're virtual. So I'm hoping to get out there eventually to California, and just to kind of be accessible to everybody, and just kind of show that, this feels like a grassroots thing right now, but the ideas are so big, and I just want, as many people as possible to have the opportunity to experience it and be a part of it.
Oh man, I love it. Just what the world needs. People that are not afraid, they're going to take and what I would call share their gift with the world. And so Mike and I and Life's Essential Ingredients and C4 Leaders definitely honor that in you and appreciate you being willing to put yourself out there and share your thoughts and to put them on paper. It's one thing to just talk about it, another thing to get out and do it. So congratulations on that, and definitely want to open up my doors to you. I'm in Northern California. You got a place to stay over here. You're not aware, but Life's Essential Ingredients is part of C4 Leaders, which is a California nonprofit. I just authored my own book as well. It's a children's chapter book that I'm holding off on release until January, because I want to get out and read. And with COVID still going a little bit crazy out here, I'm just going to hold off. But maybe our paths will cross somewhere in the Midwest for getting together with some pizza. But you come out to California, you got somewhere to stay here, and I'm going to speak for my Pacho because I know he's got a huge heart. You're covered in LA too, and so yeah, we would love to get to sit and read your book and have you give us some other insight. Last question for you, and then we'll wrap this one up. It's been awesome, and it's legacy. So perfect timing for it. John Alston has an incredible quote that I like. The only thing you take with you when you're gone is what you leave behind. And I want you to fast forward now. Let's hope, 50 years from now, you've lived an incredible life. You're on your deathbed. You have your kids and your family, your grandkids, and everybody sitting around there. What is it you want them to feel? What is it you want them to know about you? And what do you want to leave behind?
Yeah, and I think that's just such an amazing question that I think about in various forms a lot. When I got into college coaching, it was originally about me. So I was there for me to have success and move in the profession. So I was about impacting one person. Once I kind of, was in coaching and experiencing what coaching really is about and reflecting on why I got there, my goal shifted to be, how can I make the biggest impact as possible on the 15 or so guys that are in the program? And every year, the new guys that came in, that same thing. Once I left coaching and I got into athletics administration, it was, how can I make as big of an impact on all of our student athletes? And now, with writing the book and trying to do it for coaches, it's how can I reach as many coaches and leaders as possible, help them be more leaders so they can be more effective and affect even more athletes and kids all over the country and world. And, ultimately, I'd like that evolution of kind of my personal growth and getting to the point of, ultimately, how can we affect as much change, positive change as possible on as many people? Through me, it's through leadership and sports. But ultimately, that was what I'd like the legacy to be, and also letting people know that if I can do it, you can definitely do it. And that's not just, again, that's kind of through my personal journey, but anybody can do it. Anybody could impact positive change. I just would want people to know that you just got to go for it. Don't be afraid to fail at it. Just go for it.
I love it. I love it. Pachito, you got any closing remarks to get us out of here?
Yeah, I just got to say, when you do come out and visit Jeff, I think by the time you're done, you're going to have a new favorite pizza. Jeff's got his pizza oven on the back of a pickup truck. He makes a mean pizza. I've never been to Chicago, but I'm sure it's just as good, if not better.
Good looking out, Pacho. Good looking out. I don't know if mine can stack up against Lou's, but it's different. You're right. You're right. It's been an honor to have Dr. Matthew Raidbard on the show. Again, Raidbard Leadership. .com. You can reach out same place at gmail.com to email him. And he's doing big things. Again, his new book, Lead Like a Pro, you can find it anywhere you find books. Again, get out, check that out, especially if you're a new coach or a veteran coach. It's always good to read and grow and get better. And we thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything that you're wishing that we would have asked you that you'd like to share as we get out of here?
No, guys, this was fantastic and really great conversation. And, I love the work you guys are doing, enjoying the podcast, and, just keep it up. You guys are impacting a lot of positive change as well. And, we're definitely making a difference. You guys are doing great. So just appreciate being able to chat, and best of luck to moving forward for you guys as well.
Thank you. Then Pashito, you know what we got to do, baby. Boom. That just happened. We're out. Thanks for listening.